Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be exploring something called introspective TCM.
Uh-huh.
And this is, well, it's kind of all about this idea of like looking inward and sort of observing your body
Yeah.
and how it connects to the universe.
Yeah.
And it's all based on this really interesting book.
Okay.
It's called EUCC.
Oh, it's like you. Okay.
And you know what's really cool about it is the author is anonymous.
Oh, wow.
So we don't actually know who wrote it.
Oh, that's really interesting.
It was published back in 2011.
Okay.
And it really feels like this kind of rediscovery of this ancient practice,
Yeah.
going into its history and all the philosophy and even practical techniques.
Yeah. You know what I think is so fascinating is the way that the author kind of stumbled upon introspective TCM.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't something that they were like actively seeking out. They described this chance meeting that they had with this older practitioner who used these methods. And at first, they were really skeptical.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Like if someone came to me and was like, oh yeah, I do introspective TCM, I'd be like, what is that?
Exactly. They were almost dismissive at first.
Really?
Yeah.
So what happened? How did they go from like, no way, to writing a whole book about it?
Well, the book really highlights how they kind of struggled with that resistance at first because they had this more conventional training in TCM, and the idea of introspection was kind of out there for them.
Okay.
But they started studying all of these old texts and diagrams, and they were really drawn in by the logic and the elegance of the system.
Wow.
So they spent decades researching and compiling all of this knowledge.
It sounds like a huge undertaking.
It was almost like piecing together a lost puzzle.
Wow, that's so cool. So how is introspective TCM, I guess, different from the traditional TCM?
Well, one of the key differences that the book really emphasizes is that it focuses on understanding the root causes of the imbalance within an individual, and then also their connection to the universe as a whole.
So it's not just about treating the symptoms.
Exactly. It's about understanding the deeper causes of what's going on.
I see.
It's a more holistic approach.
Okay.
Taking into account not just the physical body, but also the spiritual aspect.
So it's not just herbs and needles.
No, not just that. There's a much deeper philosophical dimension to it.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So what does that mean? Like, how does it incorporate that spiritual aspect?
Well, the book really goes into this concept of yin and yang.
Right.
But not just as opposing forces, but as these interconnected and interdependent aspects of reality.
So how does that relate to, like, the body and spirit?
It suggests that true balance comes from understanding the interplay of those forces.
Okay.
Both within us and then in the larger universe.
Okay, so how does that connect to, like, the body and spirit, though?
It explains that the physical body and the soul, or the spiritual aspect, they're not seen as separate things, but as two sides of the same coin.
Interesting.
They're intrinsically linked.
Okay.
And each influences the other.
Okay.
And this interconnectedness is key to understanding how imbalances internally can show up as physical problems.
Wow. So it's like if your spirit's out of whack,
Yeah,
your body might start showing symptoms.
exactly.
And then if your body's unwell,
Yeah,
it can impact your, like, mental and spiritual well-being.
exactly. It's like this feedback loop.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that's where the introspection comes in.
Okay.
Because by observing your inner landscape, your thoughts, emotions, sensations, you can start to get these insights into the imbalances that might be contributing to your health issues.
That's really interesting. It's almost like listening to your body's whispers before they become shouts.
Precisely.
I like that.
And the book goes even deeper than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How so?
It suggests that the human body is actually a microcosm of the universe.
Well, okay, hold on. What does that even mean?
It's not just that we're made of the same elements, but that the same patterns and principles that govern the cosmos are also reflected in our bodies.
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So how does introspective TCM actually connect the body to the universe?
Yeah.
What's the mechanism there?
Well, one fascinating aspect that the book explores is the influence of celestial bodies on human health.
Okay, hold on. Are we talking astrology here?
Well,
Like, if Mercury's in retrograde, should I avoid making big decisions?
it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
It's not about predicting specific events or personality traits based on your birth chart.
Okay.
Introspective TCM views these celestial influences as more subtle,
Okay.
shaping our overall constitution, our tendencies, strengths, and weaknesses.
So it's more about understanding how those cosmic energies might be I guess, playing out in my life.
Exactly.
And how I can maybe work with them to achieve greater balance.
Yeah. Precisely. The book really emphasizes that this knowledge isn't about feeling limited or predetermined, but about empowering you to make conscious choices that align with your unique energetic blueprint.
That makes a lot of sense. So it all kind of comes back to introspection.
Yeah.
By understanding those cosmic influences and observing how they manifest in my body, I can start to make choices that support my well-being.
Exactly.
I'm starting to get it. This is so interesting. And speaking of interesting, you mentioned something earlier about the 3 corpses.
Oh, yes.
Or as they're known in Chinese, ace.
Right.
That sounds kind of ominous.
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, what are they?
Well, according to the book, these 3 corpses are basically spiritual parasites.
Spiritual parasites. Okay, you'll have my attention.
And they reside within the human body.
Wait, within the human body? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, specifically in the head, the abdomen, and the legs.
Spiritual parasites. Okay, I'm intrigued. What do they do? Are they like little gremlins running around causing trouble?
Well, the book doesn't actually get into their origins, but it describes them as having this negative impact on both our physical and spiritual health.
Okay, so where do they come from?
Each corpse is associated with certain negative emotions and behaviors, and even physical ailments.
So how do they affect us?
Well, the upper corpse,
Okay.
which is located in the head, it can cloud your judgment, stir up negative thoughts,
Oh, I think I've met that corpse a few times.
and can even lead to headaches and insomnia.
Yeah. Okay, I definitely know that one. What about the other 2?
Well, the middle corpse resides in the abdomen,
Okay.
and it's associated with things like greed and envy, excessive indulgence in like food and drink.
Oh, so it's not just what you eat, but why you eat it.
Exactly.
It's like if you're eating out of boredom or stress, you might be feeding that middle corpse.
Exactly. And then finally, the lower corpse, which hangs out in the legs, is linked to things like fear and anxiety, lack of motivation.
And how would that manifest?
It can manifest as lethargy, aches and pains, even a fear of taking risks.
Wow. It's amazing how this ancient system has a way of explaining all these internal struggles that we all experience.
Yeah, it really is.
It's almost like a roadmap to understanding our own shadow selves.
That's a great way to put it. And the book emphasizes that while these 3 corpses are a natural part of us, we don't have to be ruled by them.
Right. So how do we get rid of them?
By understanding their influence and cultivating practices that counteract their negative effects, we can experience greater clarity and vitality and spiritual growth.
Okay, I'm really curious about these practices. How do you actually get rid of these spiritual parasites? Is it like some spiritual cleanse?
The book doesn't offer a quick fix, but it does suggest that mindful living and self-cultivation through things like Qigong and meditation can really help minimize their influence. And it also emphasizes the importance of minimizing behaviors that kind of feed those parasites.
Okay, so like negative thinking?
Exactly. Unhealthy attachments. Excess indulgence.
So it's about making conscious choices that align with our, I guess, higher selves.
Exactly. Both in terms of our physical health and spiritual growth.
Introspective TCM seems to be as much about understanding our connection to the universe as it is about understanding ourselves.
Precisely.
Wow, this is all incredibly fascinating. I feel like we've covered so much already.
We have.
We've talked about the history of introspective TCM, the concept of yin and yang, the human body as a microcosm, the influence of celestial bodies, and these really intriguing 3 corpses. Where do we go from here?
Well, we've only just scratched the surface of this book's insights.
I bet.
Next, we can dive deeper into how these ideas are applied in practice.
Yes. Let's get practical. I'm ready to start putting some of this wisdom into action.
Okay, great.
Welcome back to our deep dive into introspective TCM. We covered so much in the first part. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around those 3 corpses. They really are like the ultimate freeloaders.
They really are. It's like they're feeding off our negative energy.
Yeah, exactly. But the book really emphasizes that recognizing their influence is the first step toward taking back control.
It is,
But now, maybe we can shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
And talk more about this connection between the human body and the cosmos.
Absolutely,
I'm really fascinated by this idea, we touched upon it earlier, the influence of celestial bodies.
Right.
You mentioned that it's not really astrology in the traditional sense, but more about understanding how these cosmic energies kind of shape our overall constitution. Could you maybe elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. So the book specifically focuses on the influence of 5 planets.
5 planets, okay.
Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn.
Wow, the whole gang's here.
And it actually refers to them by their Chinese names.
Which are?
Zheng Belyaj,
Josh.
Drang, and Dresh.
Wow, okay.
Which really emphasizes how ancient these roots of this practice are.
Yeah, it's like we're tapping into a system of knowledge that's been passed down for centuries.
Exactly.
So how do these planets actually affect us?
Well, each planet is associated with specific qualities and energies.
Okay.
For instance, Venus, or Janus in Chinese, represents beauty and harmony and refinement.
Ah, Venus, the planet of love.
It's believed to influence our relationships, our sense of aesthetics, and our ability to kind of connect with others on a deeper level.
So if Venus is in a harmonious position, I might be feeling extra charming and sociable.
Well,
but if it's in a challenging position, I might struggle with self-doubt or expressing my creativity.
It's not really about predicting specific outcomes like that.
Okay.
Remember, introspective TCM is about understanding your predispositions and then working with those energies.
Okay, so if I recognize that I'm sensitive to Venus's influence,
Right.
I might pay more attention to my social interactions.
Exactly.
Or find ways to cultivate more harmony in my relationships during certain times.
Precisely, especially when Venus might be in a more challenging aspect.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. It's about self-awareness and using that knowledge to kind of make choices that support my well-being.
Exactly.
So what about the other planets? What kinds of energies are they associated with?
Well, Jupiter, is
Okay.
associated with expansion and growth and good fortune.
Jupiter, the planet of luck.
It's about optimism, abundance, and taking risks.
So people with a strong Jupiter influence might be drawn to things like travel or entrepreneurship.
Yeah, or any field where they can kind of explore new horizons.
That's so cool. So it's all about embracing opportunities and kind of pushing beyond your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Okay, what about Mercury?
Mercury, or Gang, governs communication, intellect, and adaptability.
So those with a strong Mercury influence might be like quick-witted, curious.
Yes, and enjoy learning new things.
And maybe excel in fields like writing or teaching or anything that involves kind of mental agility.
Precisely.
It's interesting how these planetary influences seem to align with certain personality traits.
Yeah.
Or career paths. It's almost like a cosmic blueprint.
That's a great way to put it.
What about Mars?
Mars, or us, embodies action, drive, and willpower.
Mars, the planet of war. So people with a strong Mars influence might be like really assertive, competitive.
Yeah, and have a strong sense of initiative.
And they might thrive in things like sports or law or anything that requires a lot of energy and determination.
Yeah, any profession that calls for that kind of warrior energy.
It's like the warrior energy.
Yes.
But it's important to remember that every planet has both positive and negative expressions.
That's true.
So while Mars can fuel ambition and courage, it can also lead to aggression or recklessness if it's not balanced.
Right, it's like any powerful force. It needs to be channeled effectively.
That makes sense. What about Saturn? What's its influence?
Saturn, or Bus, is often associated with structure, discipline, and responsibility.
Saturn, the planet of, like, limitations.
In a way, yes. It represents the limits and boundaries we encounter in life.
So people with a strong Saturn influence might be, like, really practical, grounded.
Yes, and have a strong sense of duty.
Maybe they'd excel in fields like architecture or engineering, anything that requires attention to detail and a methodical approach.
Right, any profession that requires that kind of hard work and perseverance.
But a strong Saturn influence could also manifest as rigidity.
It could, yeah. Or pessimism, or even a tendency to be overly critical.
So it's about finding that balance between discipline and flexibility.
Yeah.
Structure and freedom.
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes that understanding these planetary influences isn't about putting yourself in a box.
Right.
It's about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses and working with those energies consciously.
So it's like having this cosmic cheat sheet.
Kinda, yeah.
But this is a lot to take in. How do I even know which planetary influences are strongest for me? Do I need to go see an astrologer or something?
Well, a deeper understanding of your astrological chart can be helpful.
Okay.
But the book also suggests that you can start to gain these insights through introspection.
Really?
Yeah, just by paying attention to your own patterns.
Okay.
Your tendencies, your recurring challenges.
So just kind of becoming an observer of my own life.
Yeah.
Looking for those clues that reveal my cosmic blueprint.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. So we've covered the planets. But what about the other celestial bodies?
Yeah.
Like the sun and the moon and the stars?
Of course.
Do they also play a role in introspective TCM?
Absolutely. The book actually devotes an entire chapter to discussing the role of the sun and the moon.
Really?
Yeah, in shaping our internal rhythms and energy cycles.
Wow, okay. So what's the significance of the sun and moon in introspective TCM then?
So in introspective TCM, the sun is considered the ultimate source of yang energy.
Okay, yang energy.
It represents warmth, brightness, activity, and expansion.
That makes sense. It's like how we naturally feel more energetic and outgoing on sunny days.
Exactly.
Our bodies seem to be in sync with the sun's energy.
Our bodies have evolved in tune with the sun's cycles.
Right.
And introspective TCM emphasizes the importance of aligning our activities with those cycles.
So like waking up with the sunrise.
Yeah.
Being active during daylight hours. And winding down as the sun sets.
Exactly. That can help to optimize your energy levels and support your overall well-being.
So it's not just what you do, but when you do it.
Precisely. It's about working with the natural rhythms of the universe.
Okay, I'm with you. So yang energy from the sun. What about the moon?
The moon embodies yin energy.
Yin energy.
Which is kind of the opposite of yang energy.
So like coolness and darkness, stillness, introspection.
Exactly.
Okay.
The moon is associated with our inner world, our emotions, our intuition, and even our subconscious.
It's so interesting how the moon is connected to our subconscious, you know? Just like how its gravitational pull affects the tides.
Right.
It's believed to influence our internal fluids, moods, and even our sleep cycles.
Yeah.
So it's like this cosmic dance between the sun's yang energy and the moon's yin energy. And our bodies are constantly kind of responding to those shifts.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And the book explains how understanding these cycles can help us optimize our health and well-being.
Oh, so how does that work? Like, what are some examples?
For example, during the waxing moon.
Okay.
When the moon is growing fuller, it's a good time to initiate new projects.
Okay.
Set intentions and kind of focus on outward expression.
So it's like riding the wave of that expanding energy.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about the waning moon when it's getting smaller?
The waning moon is more a time for introspection, reflection, and letting go.
So completing projects, releasing old patterns, and turning your attention inward.
Yes. It's a good time for rest and rejuvenation.
So it's all about working with those natural cycles instead of fighting against them.
Precisely. Introspective TCM encourages us to pay attention to those subtle, energetic influences and kind of adjust our lifestyle accordingly.
This is so insightful.
Okay.
We've talked about planets and the sun and moon, but what about the stars? Do they have any particular significance in introspective TCM?
They do. The book actually goes into the concept of the human body mirroring celestial arrangements.
Okay.
And the influence of specific stars on our health is a part of that.
Wow.
There's actually a really fascinating passage about the star Venus.
Venus again. It seems to be a recurring theme here.
It does, right?
So what does the book say about Venus and its influence on our health?
Well, remember, Venus is associated with beauty, harmony, and refinement. And in introspective TCM, it's believed that the position of Venus in the night sky can actually affect the balance of these qualities within us.
Right.
It can influence our relationships, our self-esteem, and even our physical appearance.
So if Venus is in a harmonious aspect, I might be feeling extra radiant and confident. But if it's in a challenging aspect, I might struggle with things like body image issues.
Again, it's not about making specific predictions.
Right.
It's about understanding how those subtle energies might be playing out in your life.
Okay.
And using that awareness to make conscious choices.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's like the stars are whispering secrets to us, offering guidance and insight if we just know how to listen.
It's a beautiful way to put it. And that's the beauty of introspective TCM.
Yeah.
It really encourages us to approach our health and well-being with a sense of wonder and curiosity.
It really does.
It reminds us that we're a part of something much bigger than ourselves. It's definitely shifting my perspective. I feel a little overwhelmed, but in a good way. It's like my mind is expanding to encompass all these cosmic connections.
I know what you mean.
So where do we go from here? We've covered planets, the sun and moon, the stars. What's next in our journey?
Well, we've talked about the what of introspective TCM, the concepts, the philosophy, the cosmic influences.
Right.
Now it's time to explore the how.
Okay, the how.
How do we actually put these ideas into practice?
Yes.
How do we cultivate introspection and use it to enhance our well-being?
That's what I'm really curious about. We're ready to move beyond theory and start experimenting with some of these techniques.
Great.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into introspective TCM. I feel like we've been on this incredible journey, you know?
We have.
Exploring the history and the philosophy.
Yeah.
Those cosmic connections. It's been a while.
It has. But now I'm really curious about the practical side of things. Like, how do we actually do introspection? It all sounds a bit, I don't know.
Abstract.
Yeah, a little bit abstract.
Yeah, I get it. Well, the good news is the book doesn't disappoint when it comes to practical techniques.
Oh, good.
One of the most fundamental practices is cultivating this awareness of your body's energy flow, what's known as qi.
Okay, qi. Yeah, we talked about that before, right? That vital life force energy.
Exactly, that flows through the body.
But how do you actually become aware of it? Like, can you feel it?
Well, the book describes this technique called inner vision, but it's not about literally seeing your qi.
Okay.
It's more about developing this heightened sensitivity to the subtle sensations in your body.
Oh, okay, so how do you actually do that? Do I need to sit in a lotus position and meditate for hours or something?
It can be that simple, actually.
Right.
The author recommends just finding a quiet space where you can relax without any distractions.
Okay.
Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and just turn your attention inward.
Turn my attention inward.
And you start by just noticing your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest.
Okay, so just focus on my breath.
The gentle movement of your abdomen.
Then what?
Once you've established that connection with your breath, start to expand your awareness to other parts of your body.
Okay.
Notice any sensations that arise.
Like what?
Warmth, coolness, tingling, pressure, tightness.
Okay.
A sense of flow or even stillness. Just observe without judgment.
So I'm not trying to, like, achieve a specific feeling. I'm just noticing whatever is there.
Exactly. Just notice what's happening in your body without trying to change it. The more you practice this, the more attuned you become to those subtle energetic shifts.
That makes sense. It's almost like training your internal senses.
Exactly.
Just like you would train your physical senses.
Right. And as you become more sensitive to these cues, you can start to use this awareness to identify imbalances in your energy system.
So how does that work? How do I know if my qi is flowing freely or if there's a blockage somewhere?
Well, think of your meridians. Remember those energy pathways?
Yeah.
Like a network of rivers flowing through your body. If one river gets blocked, it can disrupt the flow of water through the entire system.
That's a great analogy. So if I'm feeling a tightness in my chest, for example, that might indicate a blockage in the meridians running through that area.
Exactly. And that blockage could manifest as physical symptoms.
Oh, wow.
Like shortness of breath, anxiety, maybe even heart problems.
So if I notice that tightness through introspection, I can start to address that underlying imbalance.
Exactly.
But how do you actually address those imbalances? Is that where things like acupuncture and herbal medicine come in?
Absolutely. Those therapies can be really effective in restoring balance and removing blockages.
Yeah.
But the book emphasizes that cultivating awareness through introspection is that crucial first step.
Okay.
Because simply by bringing your attention to an area of imbalance, you can actually start to shift that energy.
Wait, so just by, like, focusing on it?
Yes.
My attention alone can change the flow of qi.
It's more powerful than you might think. The book even describes cases where the author was able to alleviate headaches, even reduce inflammation.
Why?
Just by focusing their attention on the affected area and visualizing the energy flowing freely.
It's like our minds have the power to heal our bodies.
Exactly. And this highlights a key principle of introspective TCM personal responsibility. It's not just about passively receiving treatment. It's about actively participating in your own well-being.
So it's about becoming more attuned to my body.
Yes.
Listening to its wisdom. And making choices that support my health.
Exactly. The author describes using introspection to make changes to their diet, their sleep patterns, and their lifestyle.
To create greater balance and harmony
within their body and mind.
It's so cool how introspective TCM blends this deep inner awareness with an understanding of, the larger cosmos.
It is, yeah.
Like we're these little microcosms within a macrocosm.
Right.
Constantly interacting and influencing each other.
And that interconnectedness is really emphasized by another technique that the book discusses. connecting with nature.
Oh, right. We talked about aligning ourselves with the rhythms of the sun and moon. But how does connecting with nature specifically support introspection?
The author describes spending time in natural environments.
Like forests and mountains.
By the sea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As a way to kind of harmonize with the rhythms of the universe.
It's like hitting the reset button, I always feel more grounded and peaceful after spending time outdoors.
And that sense of peace and grounding can create the ideal conditions for introspection.
That makes sense. So what kind of practices are we talking about here?
The author suggests things like walking meditation in nature.
Okay.
Simply sitting quietly.
Okay.
And observing the sights and sounds around you.
Okay.
Even something as simple as gardening.
So it doesn't have to be about strenuous hikes or extreme adventures. No, not at all. It's more about cultivating a sense of presence and awareness in whatever natural setting you find yourself in.
So just being present in the moment. Really taking it all in.
Exactly. It's about allowing nature to be your teacher, to show you the rhythms and cycles that are reflected within your own being. The author even suggests that through deep immersion in nature, you can access this wellspring of wisdom and healing.
Wow.
That goes beyond the rational mind.
It's like tapping into some ancient source of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like a collective consciousness that's always been there, guiding us towards wholeness.
Exactly. And this is where introspective TCM gets really profound. It's not just about fixing what's broken.
Yeah.
It's about connecting to something much larger than ourselves, something that's always been whole and complete.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've explored so much, from the history to the philosophy, to the cosmic connections, to the practice of introspection itself. What stands out to you as the most significant takeaway from all of this?
For me, it's the emphasis on personal responsibility and empowerment.
Yeah.
Introspective TCM doesn't offer these quick fixes. It invites you to become an active participant in your own well-being, to cultivate awareness, to connect with the wisdom of your body and the universe.
I love that. It's not a passive system.
It's not.
It's a call to action. It's an invitation to kind of reclaim your health and step into your full potential.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, dear listener.
Okay.
If, as introspective TCM suggests, your body is a microcosm of the universe,
Okay.
what does that mean for your understanding of consciousness?
Wow.
Could it be that by exploring your inner landscape, you're not just healing yourself, but also contributing to the healing of the world?
That's a really powerful question to consider, and it's one that we encourage all of you to explore further. Until next time, keep those minds open, those hearts curious, and remember, the answers you seek might be closer than you think.